All right, folks, welcome to Ninoscorner.tv. I'm with Dr. Carole Lieberman, a psychiatrist that's here to say that Trump derangement syndrome is a real diagnosis, or you're trying to make it a diagnosis. It's a real mental illness, correct?
Right. A real
It's
disorder,
a real
psychiatric disorder.
psychiatric disorder. I mean, we all pretty much can assume that. I've seen things that I am shocked that that's out there. But first, folks, get your noble gold. Get your noble gold. Here's the hard truth. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half its buying power. That 100,000 in savings today could feel like, I don't know, about 50,000 by the year 2031. But there's a way to protect and preserve your money now. That's gold and silver. Noble Gold Investments makes it easy to own gold or silver. No pressure, no call centers, just honest one-on-one support. Open a qualified account today and get a 10-ounce silver American flag bar free. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com, and get started on it today, folks. All right. Now, this is something that I've been wanting to talk about. I want to talk about some other topics with you as well, but the main one is Trump derangement syndrome, because I meet a lot of people that have very high IQs, very intelligent people that just can't get over this hurdle of Trump. I mean, they'll die on this hill
Right.
to, if I try to defend Trump, if I'm a conservative, they outcast people in their families. People are ostracized. I mean, it's insane. And what I'm trying to do here with my channel is try to bring people together. But it's not about being a Democrat or a liberal. It's about having a serious disorder, correct?
Well, yes. I I try to make that distinction that it's not about, I mean, you're not mentally ill if you have a disagreement with what the Republican platform is or even Donald Trump's policies. But it's about this, well, I'll tell you the definition. It's not a rational kind of thing. Trump derangement syndrome is an irrational, quasi-psychotic hatred of anything Trump, resulting in rage and over-the-top efforts to destroy him and his work. This hatred and rage can spread to people and projects that are closely associated with Trump, such as the destruction of Teslas, precipitated the end of Elon Musk's work with Doge. Now,
Violence, in other words.
yeah, well, that's the severe case, yes. Um, so but the point is that it's irrational and it's quasi-psychotic. I have divided it in the diagnostic criteria into mild, moderate, and severe. And so it's not a rational disagreement in policy or political, theory. It's about hating Trump for no rational reason, just because he's Trump. And I can tell you about which people are more likely to have this.
I'll tell
Um,
you. I mean, can I guess? Can I make a guess?
sure.
White women, middle-aged white women.
Well, white women who are college educated.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yes, but but that's according to some polls. But it is not just that group. Men, well, first of all, it's anybody in the people who are most vulnerable to having this are people who had authority problems when they were growing up, problems with their parents, problems with other authority figures, and they project it, and they never got over it, and they project this onto Trump. Then also for men, it's men who have low self-esteem.
Oh, I was gonna say maybe low testosterone, but okay.
Okay, possibly, yes. Well, they look at him as he's an alpha male, and
Right.
they're jealous of that, and they feel like they would never be able to achieve. He's the stereotypically most successful male, right? He has a lot of money. Even before he became, well, before he became president, he had money. He has a beautiful wife. He's successful. He has a lot of power, president twice, all of that. So it's like men who feel that they haven't amounted to much, and they don't feel that they have good prospects,
See,
are going
I don't think he's a threat to other alphas. Other alphas are pretty secure in themselves. They don't find him as a threat. I feel more
right,
the betas, the Charlies out there that
right.
didn't amount to much in life that kind of they feel like, why him? Why not me?
Exactly. Exactly.
So
And
that's
then,
really a reflection onto themselves.
right. And the treatment, which I can get to later, but the treatment deals with not trying to convince people to like Trump. It consists of fixing whatever is wrong with the person.
Oh, that's a hard one, man. That's what are you seeing patients like this?
Who have Trump derangement syndrome?
Yes.
I have some, yes.
And you give them the diagnosis of, or the remedy is to fix themselves. I mean, I bet
Well,
they hate hearing that.
well, it's not that cut and dry. I mean, first of all, I mean, in therapy, the goal is, even if they don't have Trump derangement syndrome, to help somebody fix themselves. So you
100%.
don't have to say that I'm doing this because you have Trump derangement syndrome. I want you to be a better version of yourself regardless.
But this is a real thing. I mean, this is like, and this leads to acts of severe violence.
It can, yes. And then the women who are more prone to, um, well, I mean, we said about the white college educated, but also it's women who are feminists. It started with the pussy hats. Remember the pussy hats?
Right, right.
And then we have, the people today, like when Trump was running and when he won, women, there were some women who decided, a lot of women, these feminist women who decided that they would withhold sex, withhold dating, withhold having kids or marrying, to punish men who voted for Trump or who liked Trump.
So do you feel like most of these people, maybe what's a common thread? Is it a broken home, a weak father, no father in the household?
Are you talking about men and
The
women?
men and women. Yeah, let's say both here. Let's say what's the common thread
Well, it's
holding them together?
different.
Is it
I mean, the common thread was what I was saying at the beginning, that they had problems with authority starting from the time they were young.
well, would that be due to their household not having
Oh,
a
yes, it's always do. Yes,
right? So
yes,
like not having a father around? Because I know when you look at the agenda that's been implemented for decades past and moving into now, the father was strategically taken out of the household, right? And
right,
they broke up the families. And I feel like the nucleus family is completely almost gone now. There's so many different definitions of what a family is now. But
right.
so would you say maybe that's where it started?
Well, I think the problems that with deconstructing the nuclear family started before Trump.
Right, right. That's what I'm saying. Like this was an agenda, but decades past, a long time ago,
Well,
that is now in full fruition now that we're watching. And Trump represents that
well, Trump.
alpha megalomaniac type of man that they're like, "Ugh," right?
Well, Trump represents a threat to the people who want to destroy the nuclear family.
Right, 100%.
If he's trying to bring back the nuclear family and bring back Norman Rockwell's America and all that.
And they're completely against that.
Right. Because so that they can you can what's the word? Use propaganda on kids to
Right,
get to, hate each other
right.
based because
Identify as this or identify as that and not know who they are.
right, right.
So he's that polarized he's that polarized individual that people there is no I've never met anybody that's kind of well I kind of like him. I don't it's either hate him completely or love him.
That's true. Yes, yes. But and both sides are kind of making, well, the media, of course, has a big role, but both sides are kind of making the other side defend their side more. So it's escalating.
Right, so like you see CNN everything negative about Trump and then Fox everything pro Trump, but I'm starting to see even like the news syndicates now even like CNN starting to go a little people are learning like hey we're not going to beat this guy, we might as well join the party here because
Yes.
we're not winning.
Yes. I was just reading some stuff this morning about South Park. About how they did these spoofs on Trump and Vance and all that. Um, and they did it to sort of they were hoping to shame them, but in fact, people, because both Trump and JD Vance went with it, didn't get all puffy and puffy about it. It kind of defeated South Park's, but I mean, I don't mind so much when people are doing it in kind of a funny way or a satirical way. There's like Randy Rainbow. Do you know Randy Rainbow? Have you ever seen his videos? He's the
Uh,
guy,
not sure.
he's a gay guy who it sings, and he's been doing this for a long time. He makes fun of, it's kind of like South Park, but in as a musical.
Right, right. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so he does these things too, in not a really mean way, but kind of a way that you can sort of laugh at.
Well, look I mean, this is also like a new trend taking place now. This whole American Eagle jeans ad, Dunkin
Yes.
Donuts. I mean, it's kind of like leaning to like white supremacy, it seems like to me. And now you got Lizzo calling out Sydney Sweeney American Eagle jeans ad and a new song. I mean, they're really taking, they're really going in up arms into this against this movement that seems to be now catching fire. So it's almost like
Yes.
if we can't beat Trump, let's join the like big corporations, Dunkin' Donuts, American Eagle jeans, like kind of putting innuendos out there and kind of hinting towards almost like white supremacy. Am I right in saying that?
Well, I know it's just what you mean, but I don't know that they're doing it so much as white supremacy, um but like not to be afraid of the woke culture.
Right, right.
Doing it this, I mean, what was it? What was the beer?
Taking a stand again, basically putting your foot down and saying enough's enough. Like
Exactly.
this is completely opposite of DEI.
Right, right. Yes. Um, and so an opposite of wokeness. And like we're not afraid anymore to do it, to show it the way we want. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a beautiful girl. I mean, yes, what she
I
said
agree.
about the jeans and all that. I mean, it is kind of asking for
Well,
asking
no,
for backlash.
I think that's the way you're supposed to promote products and like you're supposed to show someone beautiful on there. That's what I was raised. I was raised my whole life watching that, like
Right.
in commercials and ads and then in billboards and things like that. So this is kind of like anti-wokeness, and it's kind of it looks like that's where the trend is going now, right?
Yes, yes, there is. I've been noticing that too. I mean, they saw what happened. I'm trying to remember the beer. What was the beer that had the?
Bud Light.
Okay, yes. We saw what happened to them. We're seeing what's happening to Disney, with their Snow White and all that. There's backlash now against all this wokeness. Thank God. It's about
It's
time.
it's an incredible thing to watch. It's just like we're watching history be made right now. And then
Yes.
and I'll just play a little bit of this. But yeah, here's the Dunkin' Donuts ad.
Look, I didn't ask to be the king of summer. It just kind of happened. This tan, genetics.
Right there, genetics. I mean, they're going all in.
Wow.
Did you see this one yet?
No, I hadn't seen that one. Wow, that's a bit much with the genes and the genetics.
I mean, yeah. And then he says, I just got my color analysis back.
Guess what? Golden summer, literally. Can't help it. Every time I drink a Dunkin' Golden Hour Refresher, it's like the sun just finds me.
I mean, this is crazy, right? You haven't seen
It is.
this?
It is. No, that's pretty amazing. Of course, when you're doing it,
Refreshers makes me
So liberals are going to get really buttered about this stuff. I'm surprised there's not a boycott on Dunkin' Donuts from them
yes,
or American Eagle jeans, but it actually what's happening is that it's the other way around. I bet you people are flocking to these places right now because I mean people really underestimate the support Trump has.
yes, and I think that I think you can't lose it. I mean, they're certainly drawing attention to both of these ads. So I mean, if they didn't have something like that, it wouldn't have gotten as much attention from people.
100%. But I mean, I'm just kind of like in awe on the
Yes,
direction this is going now. I'm just kind of thrown
yes.
back like, whoa. It's only a matter of time before someone starts sporting the stash, the Hitler stash. I'm like, wow, this is the direction it's
Well,
going.
I hope not. We're having enough anti-Semitism in the world.
I'm just saying they're getting really brave. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just it's an incredible time to be alive and to see this boomerang happen. I think, more than not, I think the majority of people support Trump.
Well, yeah. I mean, we saw the votes, right?
So what about like let's talk about some
Too big to rig.
yeah, 100%, 100%. So let's talk about like I think it was Brian Koberger, the four students in Iowa University. Was that Trump derangement syndrome? What are all these mass shootings contributed to? A lot of them are against Trump, correct?
Well, I mean, some of them, but the Brian Koberger case really, I don't think has anything to do with Trump. Brian Koberger, I was actually I have been talking about Brian Koberger since before they arrested Brian Koberger. I
Wow.
mean, obviously, I didn't know his name, but what I mean by that is when they announced for students and that it was the bloodiest crime scene that the investigators had seen. A lot of them were going in there and they were saying this is the bloodiest crime scene I've ever seen. So, okay, I knew that. And then I also knew then they showed the pictures of the victims, and they were these beautiful, popular college students. So I put the two things together, and this is when people were getting very frustrated with the police because they weren't catching the guy. It was like it was like what happened on the 13th? It was like almost 3 weeks before they caught the guy. And so I was trying to help them, give them some hints. And
Wow.
so I said, and I was quoted in Newsweek at the time, saying before they arrested him that the killer is an incel. Do you know,
Is that like type stuff or like
incel
incel?
stands for involuntarily celibate.
Okay. Oh wow.
It's the guys who
Oh wow. I've never heard that before in my
haven't
life.
no, it's an increasing phenomenon. These are guys who have basically never been laid.
Wow. No
And
wonder I don't know what it means. No,
that's it.
I never heard it. Wow.
It's guys who have been rejected by girls their whole life, and they build up a rage towards women. And there are these chat rooms on the internet where they congregate and they talk about this girl and that girl and how they hate them and they're going to do this to them. They're going to, and they kind of get each other excited
So
about.
they're not in the desired gene pool. So this is their way of attacking society for that.
Yes, but but it's not just that they're not attractive. Because what happens is, and I'll get, Brian Koberger is a perfect example. I mean, there was one of the incels, you might have actually heard about this. I think this was 2014 or somewhere in the teens. There was a guy named, yes, I always, I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, it was a guy who killed a bunch of co-eds in Santa Barbara.
I remember that.
Roger, something
I
Roger.
don't know his name, but I remember that clearly.
Yes. And he was an incel. And he wrote a
Do they admit that
manifesto.
they're incels? How do you know they're an incel?
Okay, some do and some don't. But I mean, the ones that go into these chat rooms do. But he wrote a manifesto talking about, I think he even called himself an incel in this manifesto. And he talked about how, for his whole life, and he wasn't a bad looking guy. So it's not just about looks. I mean, that certainly can be a big part of it, but it's about the self-concept. In other words, if once a guy starts being rejected, they start feeling bad about themselves and they start feeling like no woman is going to want me, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Ooh, yeah.
Like they start
Kind of like
acting
they
weird.
self-manifest.
Right. They act kind of, they have this chip on their shoulder. They
Right.
act like this already. So anger. So the women aren't necessarily reacting to what they look like. They're reacting to, what's this guy, something about this guy.
They're
that makes them
off-putting.
feel- Exactly. So now Brian Koberger, Okay, so that was on the 28th of November 2022 that I was quoted saying it was an incel. Then they arrested Brian Coberger on the 30th. And so then we started finding out more about him. And we found out that he had a girlfriend. Well, she wasn't his girlfriend. He had his first love in middle school was this girl who was a blonde cheerleader. And it was his first love, and he wrote her a note, like a love note, and he put it in her what do you call it, locker, and he said how he loved her and all this kind of stuff.
First mistake. Go ahead.
What? What'd you say?
That's the first mistake right there. So,
right. Yes, exactly.
So you just had to talk to me.
Yes, that's the bad. You don't do that. So he did that. I mean, not that it would have mattered if he had done that or not. She still wouldn't have wanted to go out with him, but that just kind of sealed the deal. But that got her to start making fun of him. She got the other girls to start making fun of him. And these people went together to high school. They moved on to high school.
High school is like the animal kingdom
Yes.
in the raw.
Yes,
I mean, it is.
And so, all through junior high school and high school, girls were giving him the impression that he's this nerd freak, whatever, that they would never want to go out with. And in high school, he had for about a year, he was into heroin, and he was fat, but then he got thinner. And anyway, so then I added that third thing, the bloodiest, these beautiful girls, and then his first girlfriend who rejected him, who was a blonde cheerleader who looked just like Kaylee and Maddie, like they could have been triplets.
Oh.
And then the people are still saying, I don't know why he did this. Really?
So what did they say? Rejection breeds obsession. Is that what it is? Is that the old saying? Something like that. So he got rejected so much, he started obsessive compulsing over it and repelling women, and then next thing you know, he just manifested this demon, right?
Well, he was building up over the years rage.
Rage.
His rage was growing inside of him, and he let it out on Kaylee and Maddie. And then unfortunately, Xana had gotten food. She was in the hallway because she had ordered food. So I don't know that he would have ever killed her and her boyfriend if they didn't see him.
So let me ask you this: did he come from a broken family? Because I really think that the common problem here, the common denominator, is not having a strong father in the household. Because like a strong father would be like, "What's wrong, son? Like, you know what? We're going to the gym. We're gonna hit the weights. We're gonna get strong. We're gonna do. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. Unfortunately, his family has kept themselves so hidden. We don't know a lot about them. We do know that his father, he wasn't really a great father figure. He had sort of a lowly job, but I don't think he paid much attention to him. The one thing he did, he took him to a boxing school, which wasn't a bad idea. However, they should have taken him to a psychiatrist.
yeah,
I mean, because there were signs early on, like certainly by middle school, there were signs that he had problems. And boxing, to make him feel tougher and get himself in shape, and that's fine, but that's not enough.
You know how that's what changed my life is I got beat up by a girl when I was like 5 years old, and my dad dropped me off in the ghetto boxing gym with my uncle, and that's what started my whole boxing career right there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then it was over. It was just like it was game over. Like that's what took off. Bing, it took off. But it worked for me. I'm not saying it's gonna work for everybody, but I mean, he left me there in the boxing gym at 5 years old with my uncle, and it was terrifying. And I remember then that's how I grew up to be a fighter. But yeah, so I think it can work for.
Sometimes it works in a positive way, and sometimes it's not enough. Maybe they should have done more of that or something.
Well, I mean, for me, it was probably pretty dry. I mean, my dad had to do something drastic. I mean, my sisters were putting curlers in my hair, a dress, high heels. I mean, when I got beat up by a girl, I think my dad probably did the right thing,
Yes, I guess so. Well, yes, I think unfortunately Brian needed more than that. So then, So then I don't know if you saw any of the sentencing, when the people gave victim impact statements. Did you see any of
No,
that?
I didn't see that.
I was glued to it. It was just, oh, it was heart heart just heartbreaking. Um, because they each, these were the relatives of the four students. And well, actually, I think one of them didn't have anybody come because they were very much against the plea deal. But anyhow, these relatives came and they gave their talks, and every victim's impact statement was different. And Brian had decided, in my opinion, that he was going to be like the Teflon defendant. He was not going to show that whatever anybody said affected him in any way.
Oh,
He
wow.
wanted to just be
Right, right.
he didn't move, except that he blinked sometimes, like he couldn't control his blinking. And he blinked at times when someone said something that got to him, different ways, but like it was, maybe someone made him think of something, or someone was really angry at him, and that kind of, just different for different reasons, but he did blink. And also, there were two men who testified, and like mostly it was people who were angry at him, although one person said she forgave him, and some people said things that weren't just. Kayleigh's family was really super angry. They were trying to get to him, like saying things that they knew would
Get
make
under
him.
his skin.
Yes, exactly. um but there was the father of Maddie and the father of Xana, who said things that I could tell, he's a psychopath, so they don't have empathy or compassion, but there was a little something, like he had been holding his mouth really tight, but when these two fathers spoke, and I'll tell you what they said, he it softened just a teeny bit. You could just see. And so Maddie's father, first of all, when Maddie's father walked up to the podium, you could tell that there was something wrong with him. He was very, very thin, and his arms were like shaking a little bit. And he was her biological father, but she had a he and her mother had divorced, and she had a stepfather. He spoke also, but the biological father was much more impactful. He talked about Biological father talked about how Maddie was the best thing he had ever done in his life. That was his
Wow.
one accomplishment.
Yeah.
And that he was an alcoholic and substance. He used
Who was
substance.
the father?
The father.
Well, there's a big red flag right there, right?
Well, wait, but not of Coberger. That was Maddie's father,
Okay,
the
okay,
victim's
okay.
father. Yeah. Um, and so he talked about how she was the one thing he accomplished in his life. And he talked about how, so it seemed like he was still in her life to some degree, even though, they were divorced. And he used to go with her to concerts. And he talked about his best memory of her was when she had wanted to see this particular musician at a concert, and he was all sold out. And the father managed to do something. This radio station was giving away tickets for some reason, and the father managed to make that happen. And he got four tickets, meet and greet tickets, and it just blew Maddie away. Um, and he went with her and then some friends, and it was like the happiest memory that he has of her.
Um,
Oh, I get chills just telling you about it. I had chills listening to it. Anyway, and then the other father, Xana's father, talked about how that he lived 7 minutes away from the house where the killings went on. And she had called him during the day. He spoke with her, and she didn't seem happy. This was before Brian Coberger came, but that she didn't seem. He wanted to sort of cheer her up or something. He thought, so he thought about going over there. He didn't know Coberger was killing them at the time, but he thought about going over there. But then he remembered that Xana had said, "Don't drink and drive." and he had been drinking. And he also gave the idea that he talked about how Xana would call him on the weekends and and uh and like cheer him up kind of thing, like that he was suicidal. That both of these fathers had problems,
Right.
and they were really, but they loved their daughters, and so, and the loss of their daughters like affected them, especially since they were kind of just hanging in there. So,
Oh, that's even more. Oh, that's
yes.
so hard. That's even a harder blow because they're already on that balancing act they're on the fence that they can't even keep themselves together with alcohol and drugs. So now major loss like that, who knows? They're probably spiraling out of control right now, right?
Well, it's hard to, I mean, uh, possibly. It was hard to tell, really. I mean, other than that Maddie's father looked so thin. Like, I was wondering, like, how much weight did he lose after she died? How much did this cause him to lose weight? It was sad, and so you couldn't help, so Brian Coberger did have a little twinge because he was addicted to heroin for a year or so, and so I think he kind of related to them.
So let me ask you this. You said that, the I guess the common trait is that they're psychopaths, right? Obviously, to do something like this, you got to be out of your mind. But do you think that it's a genetic trait, or do you think that it is something that's developed over time with rejection and constant insults and criticism, or, does this happen throughout someone's life, or is it a genetic trait? Can we pin it to genetics?
Well, there
Or is it
are
both?
both. There are some studies that say that being a psychopath or a sociopath, there are some genetics connected with it that you can inherit. But just like any other thing, like schizophrenia, there is a genetic basis for that. But not everyone who inherits the genes for schizophrenia becomes schizophrenic. It
So there's
depends.
a little nature nurture type.
Exactly. So same thing with a psychopath. They may have inherited the gene, but they don't have to become a psychopath. But if they grow up in a household that's very cruel to them, perhaps their parents were abusive, abused them sexually, physically, emotionally, neglecting them, things that happened during their childhood are what would bring these things out.
So let's talk about Generation Z and Alpha coming up now. I see that. To me, I've always said like the new trend to me, what it seems like now is mental illness. If you just look on Instagram or TikTok or any of these apps, right? It's like who can be the weirdest, most shocking, and it's all for attention. Attention is like the new
Yes.
currency. But it
Yes.
really looks like it's breeding mental illness, and that's what it seems like. Back in the day, to be famous or to be a celebrity, you had to have, and this is like 80s, 90s, you know, talent, charisma, good looks. You got to be a
Yeah.
hell of a model, got to be a hell of an actor, a great singer, a great athlete. That's what made you, that's what propelled you to the forefront and
Right.
on television and becoming the superstar, right? Now it's all about likes, clicks, subs, follows. And
Yeah.
now it's breeding this. Oh, you did that. I'm going to do that. I saw a video
Yes.
of a young woman rolling around in a dumpster, half naked, and while they're taking her picture, and she's rolling around in garbage. To me, this is severe mental illness, and it seems everyone is doing this now just to get a like or a click.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been noticing that there have been a lot of reports of deaths of so-called
Yes, selfie
influencers.
death.
Well, that too. But I mean, like a lot of influencers are dying young, like in their 20s or early 30s. Um,
What would that be from?
well, I mean, I think it's a couple of combination. I mean, first I think, oh, I bet you they got.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, be careful with saying
I
that.
mean,
But yeah.
there are people who are dying of all ages who, who earlier than one
And who
would,
were pushing that.
yes, and earlier than you would think that they would die, who took because they heart problems and that kind of thing. But as far as these influencers, um, there's so much pressure to keep up. It's not enough to get a lot of likes one day kind of thing. You have to
Right.
keep coming up with something new and be better than that influencer and even this oh, what's it called? The women who are like stripping
Oh, OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, there we go.
Yeah,
Doing
that's huge now. Like strip
having
clubs are
sex with
actually
hundreds of men to be, get likes on
Bonnie
OnlyFans.
Bonnie Blue or whatever her name is, who slept with 1,000 men in one day. I mean, I would have never imagined that I would see something like that. I thought it was bad in the '90s and early 2000s, man. Like this today is something I've never seen, and like she's bragging about it. Like what kind of what kind of problems is that girl gonna face when she turns
Uh,
30, 35, 40, 45?
40.
Why seriously? Like
Yeah.
she's not gonna. No one's gonna want to have her as a wife or have children with her.
Well, yes. And so these are women who are so desperate, for male attention that they're thinking, I'll worry about that then. Right now I want to feel that all men want me, you know?
What's the psychology behind that? Why would is it that's obviously daddy issues, right? I mean, like not having a dad around. Maybe she got touched by an uncle or something. What's going on here with that? What
Yes.
kind of mentality leads a young woman like that to disrespect herself so bad that she sleeps with 1,000 men in one day? Like, is it her trying to get back at her father? Is it her lashing out at society? What is this?
It could be any and all of the above. The first thing that one thinks of as a therapist is abuse by daddy, by uncle, by a stranger, that kind of thing. Because women who use little girls or teenagers or even people who abused as they're growing up, they one of the things they blame themselves. First of all, they feel shame and they blame themselves, even though of course it's not their fault. And one of the symptoms, that some of them have is that they become uh,
Promiscuous.
promiscuous. They Because they do this as a way of sort of trying to convince themselves, oh, this isn't so bad. What happened to me, abused, it's okay. I mean, I'll show that it's okay by having sex with a ton of men. And in most cases it's not like 100. It's like it's like a lot of boys in high school, or it's
Yeah, but I mean, I'm noticing like with like the younger generations, this is common. Like even in my day, most women were promiscuous. Most people are promiscuous from the circles I was running around with, at least. At least I thought so. I don't know. I know I had trauma as a kid, but I mean, and I was a very promiscuous adult, teenager, adult, young adult. But I mean, I thought that was just normal. I really thought that was normal because it's normal for
well,
me.
well, it's more normal for guys to have more
Right.
sexual partners than it
Right.
is for girls. But I mean, it really is, for the most part, it's for women anyway. It is a sign of like low self-esteem, and yes, maybe used, or they didn't have a father, or their parents got divorced and the father left them and had another family with another woman. Some kind of hole, some
Yeah,
kind of
but this new
missing.
feminist movement and this independent thing where they're like, well, if a guy can do it, we can do it.
Right. Yes. Yes. Now, it's interesting that you bring that up because that has started a while ago. Um, but this kind of sad thing is that, and I guess, in some ways that was a prelude to what we have now with OnlyFans and all that. But, the sad thing is the women who wanted to act like men, um, and have a lot of sexual partners and feel like detached. I'm not going to have my heart on my sleeve so that I get hurt every time it's a one night stand and the guy doesn't call me anymore. I'm going to be like that. I'm going to be the one doing one night stands. But the problem is that women are not really made like that.
I agree.
And they do get hurt. They just are pretending that they're not. And then they need more to, so it never really works.
So I'm noticing now in my 40s, right? It's almost like what you do in your youth, you reap either rewards or regrets later in your later years, it seems like to me.
Uh-huh.
And I'm suffering from both, but like I'm noticing a lot of women that were sleeping around with a lot of guys in their 20s, in their early 30s, are now going into their 40s, childless, single, and it's kind of like, oh, I want a man now, and I'm gonna try to freeze my eggs and all this, and I'm like, the brakes. I'm like, I don't know. It's
What do
your
you mean the
chances
break?
are really slim now because
Oh,
I'm saying it now more than ever. Am I seeing and people who are in their mid 30s going into their 40s, 50s, childless, single, no families, because they were sleeping around for so long and not taking anyone seriously. They would break
yeah.
up quickly, go find another guy, sleep with that guy, go sleep with this guy, go sleep with, and it's on both sides, men and women, by the way. And now they're like left there in the cold, out in the cold and out in the dark, like, oh man, like maybe I do want a family. Are you seeing that a lot?
Yes, yes. I mean, sometimes it's because they were sleeping around, like you said. Sometimes it's kind of the opposite. Um, Divorce has horrible repercussions.
Right.
And you know, some people don't want to believe that, they think, oh well, and repercussions on the children's leaves children have scars of divorce where they are afraid to be in a relationship, a close relationship, a long-term relationship, because they saw their parents, how hurt their parents were. Like they identify with their mother or their father, and they see how, the divorce hurt them. And they don't want to go through something like that. And so they kind of, they're not necessarily sleeping around, but they prevent themselves from getting into these long-term
Because they
relationships.
identify it with hurt.
Right.
I have friends also that were adopted, but they were adopted by good families, but they also went off to have really good families. Like they felt they all told me the same thing that they felt not wanted and by their real parents, but then they went off to have families, and I went if it kind of worked reverse for them.
Yes, yes. Sometimes that can happen. It depends upon the family that they were adopted into, how loving they were. So if they feel grateful and feel that they got all that love and all that, they want to recreate that. But yes, people, kids who are given up by their mothers, do carry that feeling of like, what was wrong with me? You know.
Right, right. So let me just pivot just for a second because there's a lot of topics we're covering here, more than I thought we would, but it's very enjoyable. I love this conversation. But I want to talk about CTE. And so I was a fighter my entire life, right? I was a heavyweight champion boxer, uh, contender, the whole thing. And I often wonder about the damage that was done to my brain. And I know that I have friends that played pro football, pro baseball, pro every sport there is. I had a lot of athlete friends, but the ones that played ball and football and boxing, I've noticed suffer from bipolar disorder or anxiety. I have anxiety issues, but some of them are more extreme, like motor skills are really bad, or um, after the sport they resort to drugs and alcohol because they got to keep that high going, and
Uh,
and stuff like that, or they resort to violence easily. Now, thank God I'm not like that, but the brain is like this black box, right? We don't really know what's going on with it. But now I'm seeing with my friends in their later years, the CTE,
it's
I believe is taking effect. And can you talk a little bit about that? Because some of these
sure.
these people that were mass shooters, like the one that just shot up, I think it was Manhattan. That
Yeah.
guy he blamed it on CTE.
That guy was really interesting. I mean, of course, it was a tragedy, all the four people who were killed and all that. But but all that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Why are we laughing? That's messed up. But yes, you're right.
But it's a very interesting story. And he did, he was very courageous in a way. I mean, of course, it's horrible that he killed people. And what's really ironic and kind of sad is that he wanted to target the NFL office in that building.
Rejection once again.
But his CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, um, that it wound up getting him to take the wrong elevator. I mean, it was the CTE. I mean, how ironic is that?
Wow. So I didn't know that. So he was going to go in to shoot up the NFL office.
And he wound up taking the wrong elevator. And so he got to a different floor because they had different elevators for different floors. So the elevator he took didn't go up to the NFL office. But he was an interesting guy because, he wrote a note to his parents. He left it in his apartment. And he wrote something about, I see in your eyes every time I look at you, the disappointment that you have in me. Now, he was a high school football player and he had promise. So I don't know why he didn't go to college and play college football. I don't know what happened there.
So he didn't even make it to college, or he did make it to college? Because I
No,
don't know
he
much about
didn't.
this guy.
I don't think he did make it to college. I
Okay.
haven't seen any reports.
Anyone in the
about
comments, put it in there for us. Help us out on
Sure.
this one.
Okay. And so, but his coach, they interviewed his coaches, like especially he went to two different high schools and they interviewed the coach, or at least I saw the interview of the coach from the second high school. And the coach was, he really, of course he felt awful, I'm sure he was blaming it. What didn't I see? And why didn't I fix this? And, of course it wasn't really his fault, but he said that I think there were interviews with both of them, and that both of them said that he was very coachable, that whatever they told him to do to get better, that he would do, and that he was very promising. So I don't know what happened to make him not go to college. Maybe he didn't get in, but
So the kid felt like he fell short of his expectations that other people had
yes.
and what
So
he had on himself.
So like his parents probably had some hopes. Like his father was in the LAPD. And so you could see where he maybe had some hopes about this kid becoming a star football player. So that's why I think that he wrote, I'm a disappointment to you. So because he wound up with a job in Las Vegas, being like security or being on the surveillance team in at hotels, and casinos. So anyhow, but that was a far cry from being a pro football player.
Well,
So he wanted to show that he had, and I think he did see CTE. You can't make the definitive diagnosis until the person is dead and you can examine their brain cells under the microscope. But you can do different tests to have a sense that maybe that is what the person has. And he had some medication. So he was seeing some doctor for something, but like in order to diagnose it without you being dead, you can take psychological tests. You can be, examined for your symptoms, like if you have memory problems, if you have, problems with your limbs, control of your body. There are a whole bunch of symptoms that could lead you to believe that there's some kind of brain problem. Now I know that when he was in his senior year of high school, he missed some games at the end. This might be why he didn't get into college, or at least like not on a football scholarship. Maybe they couldn't afford. I don't know. But he missed some games because his grade point average wasn't high enough to keep playing. So maybe that is where the end.
I don't know. I mean, and so he only went as far as high school. So you would have to say he developed CTE in high school. I mean, I spent my whole life boxing, right? I've been boxing since I was 5 years old, fought amateur, and then, I was 36-0 as a pro. And at the end there, I kind of felt like I blew it and I fell short of my expectations. But I didn't lash out on anybody or anything. I blamed myself, and that's what I had to do to overcome it and go on to podcasting and do something else. But for the longest time, I really felt really bad about myself and depressed and really hard on myself that I didn't get to the final goal, which was the heavyweight championship of the world. But I was almost there, and I was in the top 10. And I mean, I still fulfilled my athletic career so I was able to win belts and got the glory, and I was a top prospect. I did all that, but I still fell short, and that hurts, right? It still hurts me. But I could imagine. But I knew a lot of athletes that I grew up with that didn't make it into the pros, or they felt that, and they did have the ability, but something went wrong. And
Yeah.
that's a serious issue with a lot of guys, man.
Yeah.
Like this plagues a lot of guys that I know that were like, man, I could have done this. I did this. I did that. It's like the Al Bundy type of
Uh-huh.
syndrome, right? That's what I call
Yeah.
it. But it's like, but I was able to have that duration, that long career until finally the end there, which I was already in my mid 30s and I was tired, to be quite honest with you. But a lot of guys don't get to feel that adulation or feel the glory, which they were driving for their whole life. And
Uh-huh.
they do go into drugs and alcohol and
Yeah.
retaliate against society, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, yeah, you have to be, I think you deserve to be proud of how much you accomplished. See, that's the thing too. You can think about, like, if you never had that goal, even the higher goal, you would never have gotten as far as you did.
Right. You know, I have a friend, I'm not going to say his name, but he was a monster. He's a hell of a football player and he didn't make it. He didn't have the discipline and he had the talent, he had the strength, he had the size, he had the looks. He could have been anything and he just fell short. And I wonder sometimes if that is what led to a life of just gnashing of teeth and regret. And you
Uh-huh.
know what I mean? And it's just, he resorted to criminal behavior. And I wonder, if it all started with the household, right? I mean, how he grew
Yeah.
up. That's why I bring that up.
Yeah. Oh,
And he had it all. He had it all. And it's just
absolutely. It
sad to
depends
see.
on those early years, and what your parents are like, and how they raise you. Absolutely.
So, Doctor, I won't take any more of your time, Carole Lieberman, folks. I'm wondering, can I bring you on again at some point on a live video to take questions from the audience? Would you ever be
Sure.
open on doing that?
Uh-huh, of course.
All right, so I'll stay in contact with you. And where do people find you? Do you have a book or anything like that you want to push out there?
Sure. My most significant book, I mean, I have four books, two on relationships and two on terrorism. And my latest one is Lions and Tigers and Terrorists, Oh My, How to Protect Your Child in a Time of Terror. So my website is terroristtherapist.com.
Lions, tigers, and what?
No, Lions and Tigers and Lions and Tigers and Terrorists, Oh My.
That's a hell of a title.
How to Protect Your Child in a Time of Terror.
Got it. Thank you, Doctor, so much. Stick with me just for a second.
Sure.